resume recording. See right there, you've got the little cloud symbol around your record flashing button. It says recording.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then the cloud symbol. So you
Have a second. If you could just right click over your name and add your organization to your name. I think that will help everybody understand where you're from. And we'll just kick it off in about 2 or 3 minutes. I mentioned that Steve Giebes is with the township, and he's just making sure we get off to a good start. Hi, Stephen.
I just enabled your recording as well.
Thank you. We hope to share this with others later, and again, hope to do this again, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, whatever folks are interested in. But without further ado, we're going to go in alphabetical order, unless somebody has to leave and just wants to cut in line. Certainly open to that. So raise your hand if you have a question, and take it away, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us.
Did Lori have a question? No, okay.
I'll use the chat box. It's okay. Go ahead, Kate.
All right, so a lot of you already know who I am. I'm Kate with Clinton County Department of Recycling and Waste Management. So I'm just gonna kind of zip through who we are and what we do. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. But our department has 3 employees total. I'm technically the only full-time staff in the office. And I have 2 part-time assistants. One is our secretary, one is our education coordinator, and actually share her with our administration office. We are special funded through tipping fees per our host agreement with the landfills that are located within our county. So we don't get any general fund money from the county itself. It's all special funded. Our programs tend to be limited to Clinton County residents, but we do work collaboratively with our regional group, which Leroy and Lori and Kathy are all a part of. Our department pre-pandemic generally funds 2 special waste collections per year, where we take all the hard to get rid of stuff like electronics and hazardous waste and a whole bunch of odds and ends that people hold on to for those events. We also fund or help fund 2 24/7 drop-off recycling sites that are located within our county. That's a collaborative effort with the 4 municipalities in which they are located. Just for number's sake, last year, 2019, total cost for those 2 drop-off sites was about $79,000. But because of community contributions and material rebates, our department paid about $42,000 for those 2 sites. We also help fund 1 drop-off site that's located here in the city of St. John's. It's run by our local Lions Club. We give them about $19,000 per year to operate. They're like a mini material recovery facility, or a mini MRF, if you will. We also promote the other 9 recycling programs that are located within our county. And so we do a lot of promotion and marketing for all of those as well. We are part of the collaborative effort that is Recycle-Rama each spring when there's no pandemic to interrupt that. But our residents, we have a pretty small number of participants that actually make the trip for Recycle-Rama, but we still advertise heavily and we still participate in it. Our department works with service groups and local schools to promote our programs and environmental stewardship through my environmental education person, who's Nicole. I think most of you have met her at this point. We also do a year-round battery collection program, which is very labor and time intensive because we have to sort batteries and tape batteries before we can ship batteries. We pay about $1 a pound to recycle those. And again, that's just for Clinton County residents because of the time and the cost to do it. We coordinate medication collections. That was something that needed to happen that no other department had the funding or ability to do. So about 10 or 11 years ago, or 12 years ago now, maybe even, our department started managing that and promoting that and coordinating that. And now we have several standalone year-round collection sites for medications, which our residents appreciate. We work very closely with our local law enforcement for that program. We promote proper sharps disposal. It's another thing that needed to happen because used needles or sharps were showing up at our recycling sites and that's a huge issue, or it was. So it was something that we have worked to promote and we continue to promote. Our department works with a number of other local nonprofits to further our cause, including but not limited to our local Habitat for Humanity store, our local law enforcement, our substance abuse council, our conservation district, and our parks department, as well as our local hospital. So we get out and about quite a bit to get the word out about what's available and what's going on. And we have, pretty healthy fund balance at this point, where we're unique in that regard because of our special funding. So we're able to help contribute to other programs that are happening in and around the Tri-County area. But that's us in a nutshell. I've been in this position for 9.5 years already, believe it or not. It's gone by fast. So yeah, that's Clinton County. I like to think we're very progressive for being a rural ag-based community that we are. And we have some pretty dynamic programs for our residents.
Thank you so much, Kate. Really appreciate it. Thanks for keeping it brief. We're going to try and keep it from 3 to 5 minutes. There's no reason we have to go for an hour and a half. This might take an hour, but we do want to reserve 20 minutes to a half hour for open conversation towards the end of the after you've presented. With that in mind, Lori does have to leave at 1 for another appointment. Lori, are you ready to present? Would you like to go
Sure, I'm
next?
here. Yeah, I have until 2 o'clock though, so sorry about if I.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
And
Sure, I can go next.
If you'd like to share your screen, I want to encourage you to click the 2 buttons. If you have any problems sharing it, let me know. But there's 2 buttons: enable audio, and there's another
You're
one.
talking to me, Leroy?
If you want to share to everybody,
Okay.
if people want to share their screen, there's a couple of buttons to check at the bottom. If you've got a slide presentation or a video that you want to share. Anyway, take it away, Lori.
Okay, thanks. I do not have anything to share formal. I don't even have as beautifully as presented information as Kate just did. I'm just going to wing it here. So for over 20 years, I worked for the city of Lansing as overseeing their recycling and solid waste programs, curbside, trash recycling, yard waste, education, outreach, doing a lot of regional collaboration. But back earlier this spring, I accepted a new position for Lansing, which is their sustainability manager. So I've really been kind of heavily focused on that work. So I'll talk probably more about that, but I just kind of wanted to share a couple of things that are relevant to the region. And one many of you already know about, but it's the opening of a material recovery facility in Lansing. This MRF, for those of you unfamiliar with our lingo in the recycling business, is where materials will go to be sorted, separated, baled up, and shipped out to markets. And it will be on South Pennsylvania in Lansing. We're really excited about this. It's many, many years in the making, as most of you probably are aware. Lansing and East Lansing have partnered with Emterra Environmental. Emterra is the owner and operator of the facility. Lansing and East Lansing just have a long-term contract to ship all of our single-stream recycling to this facility. The intent from the very beginning was to have this facility be regional. So as many people, as many communities in the Tri-County region and really beyond that, that we can get to collaborate the better for a variety of reasons. I think most notably is, we would all be taking the same materials, so we can have consistent education and outreach as a huge county initiative, which I think would be fantastic. And also the more people we can collaborate with through intergovernmental agreements, the better the price that we all get. And there's some, I think, a lot of stipulations when it comes to that sort of thing. So if your community is interested, let me know and we can discuss how we might be able to partner on that. Kathy and I just did a walkthrough yesterday of the new facility, so we saw it for the very first time, and it was very exciting to see the equipment being moved in and being built up from the ground up. And they expect to be open for business in mid to late October. And like I said, it's years in the making, 5+ years, so that's pretty thrilling to see it so close to the finish line at this point. So there's that. That's kind of my first kind of environmental initiative relevant to the region that I wanted to discuss. But secondly is pertaining to sustainability work. I would really very much like to see a regional sustainability effort. And I think there's a lot of momentum for this. And in fact, Kathy and I are going to be talking with Ann Earhart from MSU later this week to start brainstorming about how we might collaborate on some things. I've already started talking to the Board of Water and Light about a joint climate resolution and a joint procurement policy, environmental purchasing, and so forth. But I have a lot of other things on my wish list, which is like ridiculously long. But one of the first things I'd like to do in addition to those are some kind of fleet optimization study, equity training, audits of waste audits, energy audits, you name it. So lots of things that are ripe for collaboration, I think. And as I said, we're going to start to brainstorm this, but if anyone in this group is interested in that, let me or Kathy know, because I think that given the momentum of that interest, I think that things are going to take off relatively quickly on that. So I will leave it there.
Fantastic, Lori. Please take notes of if you hear our speakers talk about something you want to chat about during the dialogue session. And you just mentioned a bunch of them, Lori. So with that in mind, Kathy, are you ready to go next? Kathy DeChambeau?
I am ready. Thanks, Lori. Thanks for doing this. Thanks to you and John both for bringing this group together. We really appreciate that. So I'm Kathy DeChambeau. I'm with the City of East Lansing. I'm the Environmental Services Administrator. I cover 3 official divisions in our Department of Public Works. So I have sanitation, recycling, the fleet and garage, which means I do all of the fleet purchasing from fire trucks to police cars to all of our work trucks, everything across the board under our green fleet policy. And I have our parks maintenance and downtown maintenance division as well. So I have about 25 union field staff, and I have a couple of temp staff in the summer. On a normal summer, a non-COVID summer, we would have probably about 10 temp staff working. We have 2 this summer. And then I am very fortunate in that I get an intern for part of the year. And so Nicole Mosteller is our current intern. She's been with us just prior to COVID. So she started in like February and just got started, but she's done a great job. And she officially starts a new position with the city today. She was just hired as the assistant to the city manager. So we're extremely thrilled. She's fantastic. Anybody who's in the R2C2 group who has met her knows that. I see people nodding. So we're super excited for her. So our original plan was that Nicole was going to do this presentation because she's been doing a lot of this work this summer. We have worked together, but she's really been in charge of some of this, and I really wanted her to have the opportunity to own that and really show you what she's been doing. But she is going to be at her orientation, so I'm going to take the time to talk about those things. But I also wanted to mention a couple things. I'm also the staff liaison to our Commission on the Environment. We have a 9-member commission, and I'm super excited to see Cliff is here today because Cliff is one of our commissioners. And COVID has hit this commission hard because we had just kicked off updates to our climate sustainability plan in our February meeting, had just started that work, and then did not have a meeting again until July. And we had that because we had to review our wetland permit. So our work has slowed down substantially, but I just want to say that just prior to COVID, The very next city council meeting, we were taking our 100% clean energy resolution. It was on the city council agenda for the discussion only, and then it was on the consent agenda for the following meeting. That, of course, all got pushed when all of the meetings got canceled, and we've been waiting for that to come back up onto the bubble back up into an agenda, and I see that it looks like we're going to come up again in September, so we're pretty excited about that. So that is good news. One of the things I'll mention is that the updates to our climate sustainability plan, one of the big conversations that we started to have is to really look at our updates through an equity lens and through a environmental justice lens as we start looking at some of the actions that we want to take, and that really dovetails nicely into work that the city is currently doing. We have a new position in the city that is going to help us with diversity and equity, and she is actually going to present at our Commission on the Environment and hopefully work with us on that. And it may be an opportunity regionally, Lori, because she's connected with region. She's on the Martin Luther King Commission, to have, you know, a sounding board in that regard. So I'm pretty excited about that work. So I also wanted to mention that the Commission on the Environment has also been working on updating the green building policy or the sustainable building policy. And that is another thing. Leroy has heard me saying that now for a couple of years. And we really hope that once we get back on a more regular rotation with our meetings, that we're able to move that to City Council as well, because that document is really, really close to being done. And our commission has done so much work on it. And we've had so many conversations and collaborations with our planning department. And even just prior to COVID, we were working with our Downtown Development Authority, and they really supported that policy. So it had a lot of momentum going into COVID, and we just need to try to find a way to make that work in this new normal that we're experiencing. So two big things that we were working on this summer, sort of the way we spent our summer break, was we partnered with ICLEI. We were in one of the ICLEI cohorts for updating greenhouse gas inventory. And so we did that both by participating in those training sessions, and we kind of started, now that we've got all of our data entered and we're kind of doing a data check, looking at, okay, is there anything that looks wonky, not right? Are there numbers that are, you know, looking like maybe something is kind of out of whack and we need to address it? But we're going to take that information and we're going to use it to help set some of the goals with our climate sustainability plan, and to set some of those markers that we want to achieve. And so we use the ClearPath tool, if you're familiar with that tool, and we gather data on both a community-wide perspective for emissions, and we did city government emissions. And so, as you can imagine, both were challenging at times, because you're trying to draw data and ask folks, especially from numerous organizations, especially community-wide, to share information. And we actually kicked off this effort in March of all times. So we were reaching out to people who were suddenly working from home and, you know, not in the office, or they didn't have access to their tools that they needed to collect data and share that with us. But Nicole was very persistent, and ultimately got all the information that we needed. So we just finished that up in the last couple of weeks. And so, like I said, we're going over the data. We're making sure that everything is in there and looks reasonable in the way we would expect it to look, that there's nothing that is looking strange that we need to address. And then we're going to start setting some goals, and we're going to work with our Commission on the Environment with that. We're going to present this information to them soon, and let them take a look at how you know, emissions kind of fall out in different places, both community-wide and in our city government. And so we're going to use that, and we're participating in yet another ICLEI cohort to look at how we can use that data to set our goals for emissions reductions and moving forward, integrating it into our climate sustainability plan. So another thing that we worked on this summer is, I believe this is the 4th year that we have had a pollinator-friendly city resolution that we put forth. And rather than, this was something the Commission on the Environment did a number of years ago and made the decision at the time that this would be a yearly resolution as opposed to just a resolution that we pass once and then, you know, maybe update every few years. They wanted it to be a yearly resolution so that they could actually talk about things that they've done, things that where we've increased pollinator habitat, policy changes that have been made, progress that's been made in that area. So each year the document gets updated with that information and with some additional goals. So it gets a little bit more stringent each year. And this year we updated we have a website that gives our residents in our community lots of information about pollinator friendly practices. We also share with them ways to, you know, make your yard pollinator friendly, things that the city is doing. And right now we're working to start an official pesticide use policy. So we don't use a lot of pesticides in the city from a city standpoint. We use very little, but we want to devise a policy that really outlines exactly when and where we do use chemicals, and we want it to be something that residents can look at and then maybe also translate into something that they can use in their own, you know, property, so that they can consider not using certain chemicals and not using certain control methods, others that are more friendly. So if you, I think we shared with Leroy a document that has some links for some of this information. So if you want to share that with anybody in the group, Leroy, you're free to. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to take questions too.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And nice job spontaneously filling in for Nicole. She was partly the inspiration for setting up a little shared Google Drive too. So if you have any additional information you'd like to share or PowerPoint, right now I've got a PowerPoint from Meridian in there and Nicole's document. I guess I'll go next. I'm going to try and share my screen. I think I'm next in terms of alphabetical order, but I think it's appropriate for me to follow East Lansing because we followed East Lansing on a lot of different paths, including our climate sustainability plan. East Lansing's version really was a template for us to build on. But Meridian, as a neighbor of all of you, has been involved with green initiatives for many years. We pride ourselves on our parks and our pathways and our land preserves. And I've been involved for the last 11 years or so on energy and environmental initiatives, but this has been going on a lot longer than I've been around. So hats off to all that have helped sort of preserve and protect a lot of our resources here in the township. Can you see these slides? I want to make sure that I'm not doing a 7-minute presentation without
Or we can see them clearly.
Okay, great. There's a map to our land preserves, just showing sort of the diversity. We do have a land preservation millage up for renewal in the fall. We're hoping that that will be passed. It's primarily designed to help maintain what we've got, not as much purchasing new lands, but we've really got our hands full just protecting the preserves that we have, removing invasive species and that type of thing. We have a new coordinator, Emma Campbell, who is starting a conservation corps to assist, involving people from around the region in protecting and removing species, planting pollinators, that type of thing. One of our gems, which I'm surprised that not more people know about it, is our Harris Nature Center. I've got a link here in the presentation you can check, but if you haven't been there, please visit it. It's right in the heart of one of our largest parks and their staff do a lot of children's workshops, and they network with other nature centers around the area. One of our newest gems is still in the works. It's the new city market called, actually not city market, farmers market, marketplace on the green, which will be used for other purposes, as well as a farmers market on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We're hoping that this is going to start up in September, but if you drive by, it's behind the mall. You can see JCPenney in the background there. You can also hear the HVAC in the background as they're dropping off equipment, so I apologize for the background noise. Pathway Millage has been going for about 30 years now, and we're still looking to complete a network of pathways for bikes, for pedestrians around the township. Recently, Cliff and his work with Tri-County has inspired a creation of a green map, which is still in the works. But here's a place to see the parks and the nature preserves, some of the trails, as well as things like butterfly gardens, bird habitats. It's kind of an opportunity to take stock of all the green that's going on in the township. If you go to mywatersheds.org, the site that Cliff maintains, you can also see a regional version of different maps that inspired us to work on this with some students from MSU. Cliff has also been helping us with a green infrastructure audit, and we're hoping that this will be a model for other communities. Midmiac, Teresa Lark has been assisting as well, and we're looking for opportunities to remove barriers to doing green infrastructure in future developments. Lots of great examples on the My Watersheds site, which is obviously a regional, the Greater Lansing Regional Committee for Stormwater Infrastructure, and Cliff will straighten me out on that one. Does a lot of great things regionally, and I'm glad you're here, Cliff, to share some of that. This is the climate sustainability plan that, again, we modeled after East Lansing. It's divided into several different categories, and some of the most notable progress has been the recent installation of a 20 kilowatt solar array and a pollinator garden in front of it. We're hoping to do a couple more large solar panel installations this fall. We just recently received bids. We're also looking at promoting solar throughout the township, planning for a virtual solar home tour this fall. And John, who's with us today, has been documenting a solar stories series, which has featured installations from around Meridian Township and the Greater Lansing region. I encourage you to tune into those if you haven't seen those yet. We're hoping to combine a few of those into a regional tour. Part of the climate sustainability efforts involves the tree initiative, and our township is interested in doing something positive. We've got support from the Board of Trustees. Phil DeShane's brainchild is gradually bearing fruit, and we're hoping to distribute trees this fall at the city market, as well as do some projects with the local schools. Something positive people can do that might be more accessible to the youth as well as adults. And then another regional collaborative opportunity is promotion of environmental topics, keeping our gray infrastructure flowing smoothly. And we've worked with Ingham County, City of Lansing, City of East Lansing on some of these initiatives, and I think that there's an opportunity to do more of that. Kate and Lori have mentioned recycling, and one of the most recent collaborative efforts involves this electronics recycling day. And we really appreciate the opportunity to partner on this one to make it possible, because recycling is not cheap, and with the COVID situation happening, Several other events have been canceled, and so we're hoping that this event on September 26th is going to draw people from around the region and not just load up 5 semis worth of electronics, but also be an example for regional collaboration. Hopefully I've kept this to under 7 minutes. But we can talk more about these in a minute. I got so wrapped in my presentation that I forgot to see who's next. Would anyone like to go next? Raise your hand if you were willing to go next.
I can go.
Wanda? Okay, I think you beat Cliff. So
Did I beat Cliff?
thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. To be honest, I really appreciate this because as a small township, we really borrow a lot from what other communities are doing. And so for me, this is very educational. I'm an elected official. We have no one in our office that takes any sustainability or the recycling on. It's kind of a group collaborative when it comes to getting things done. So some of the things we have done is we have improved our recycling events. We did cancel our spring event to September, and we are a bit concerned still with the way COVID is, that we're looking at canceling that, just because we had a lot of the vendors that help us out kind of say no, they wouldn't participate. So that's been a little difficult for us because that's one of our most popular events that we have, and the township residents really look forward to that. So some of the other things that we are doing is we have been getting estimates on adding enough solar to our building to completely be able to take that off the grid per se, and make us carbon neutral as far as our office is concerned. With some of the information that I've been receiving, I'm also looking at maybe starting some sort of a climate commission of residents. We have some very good residents who are very involved in this aspect, and I'd really like to see a committee formed for our township. Our township, we have approximately 4,000 residents, so we're on the small side of all of everyone that's involved here, but we would sure like to do our part in anything that we can. So the other thing we're looking at doing is cutting back on the use of mowers, turning some of our mowed fields into prairie gardens, pollinator gardens, expanding that. So we're looking at doing that at the cemetery and also here at the township hall. Of course, all of this takes time when we don't have anyone particularly set in that department. So we get a lot of good ideas from our staff, and then we try to work on it as best as we can. One of the things that we've done that I'm really excited about is we did expand our cemetery. We were able to work with the Red Cedar Renaissance development, where we created a compensating cut here in the township for that development to move forward. And with some of that, we were able to take some of that fill, expand our cemetery, and we're going to be expanding that to include green burials. So we're excited about that step. I think in another year, we'll be able to start hosting some and have residents take part in that, and that'll be open to everyone. So that's exciting for us. I think, you know, it's of course expanding all the time, recycling. And one thing that the township did want to look into was having a full-time recycling. So with the opening of the MRF, I think that might give us some options. So we're excited about that. Lori may be finding out some more that we can do, and maybe bringing that back. At the time, we realized we couldn't afford it, but I'm I'm thinking that with everything that's happening regionally, that maybe we can expand that recycling. So it's, I, I'm just really excited for all the things that are happening in the region. I think it's really good. I really don't have much more to say. I wish I did.
I'm amazed at how much you get done with very little staff. Thanks so much, Wanda.
Mhm.
Cliff is up next, if you were willing. And
Sure, and I have a screen here, but hi everyone, I'm Cliff. I'm with the Detroit County Regional Planning Commission. I'm an environmental planner over there. I have a lot of slides, but this should go pretty quick. All right. For those who are not familiar with Detroit County, we are the metropolitan planning organization that serves in county. We do transportation planning, land use planning, economic and environmental planning. The home of the Greater Lakes Regional Committee for Stormwater Management. Actually, used to be called the Greater Lakes Stormwater Science. Why you don't let engineers think. And the Groundwater Management Board committees under Tri-County that work on water quality issues. And we're also involved in the water trail planning, not motorized planning. And speaking of that, this is fine because the long range transportation metropolitan plan is it's under development. And tomorrow night there is a public meeting for reviewing the environmental justice and environmental mitigation.
Cliff, your volume cut out. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but you lost your volume.
Actually, that clicking and disconnect, like intermittent speech you were hearing, was him having problems with his upstream bandwidth. So I'm not sure if he's got other things he's trying to upload at the same time, but if you can shut those down, they may help a little bit.
Thank you. Would it be helpful if someone else was presenting? And then Cliff was just talking?
Yeah, that would probably help him quite a bit.
I cut out there.
Do you want to email me your presentation, Cliff, and I'll share it on my screen and see if that works?
I regained you guys. My whole screen went like dark. Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up. Why don't you go ahead and email me your presentation if you can, unless it's too big. We can take a quick break, come back to you, or you want to suggest something else? I would say, Teresa, are you available to talk?
Sure, I can. I can chat for a couple of minutes here if you guys can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you, and I can hear Cliff too, just real intermittently. So.
Okay, well, I'll go through what MidMeac's been working on here real quickly while hopefully Cliff can reconnect. So we do a lot of the similar things to what you all have been talking about. We're involved in a green infrastructure initiative. We've participated along with Cliff in reviewing Lansing's form-based code to find ways to remove barriers to green infrastructure in the city. We've been working with Meridian Township. We've got a pilot project that we're working on with the Tacoma Hills neighborhood in Meridian Township with the partnership of the Ingham County Drain Commissioner. The office wants to do a demonstration educational outreach project there. So we're in the early stages of that. It's kind of exciting. We would be looking at putting in rain gardens and pollinator habitat using native species to create those gardens, and probably doing some buffer strips along a retention pond, etc. Those kinds of things that help to control stormwater while also protecting water quality. Another project that we're working on is in partnership with several entities, mainly the Ingham County Treasurer and the Land Bank came to us with this idea of trying to put together a regional waste diversion program for construction and demolition waste. So what it would involve allowing crews to go in, or at least a consultant to go in and look at a property before it's demolished, so that with an eye toward taking the materials out that could be resold. So it's actually a whole marketing, recycling marketing initiative. We do have a grant proposal out on that with the state of Michigan. Haven't heard back yet if we're going to be funded, but it would involve workforce training. So there's a workforce economic development piece. We would be talking with developers and trying to encourage them to participate with deconstruction efforts. There's an ordinance piece, of course, that would hopefully encourage developers to do such a thing. We're not sure if we're going for mandates or if we're going to try to find ways to incentivize and disincentivize certain kinds of behavior through the code. We've talked with Andy Kilpatrick at the City of Lansing. He's open to this concept. So, and we've talked with a few people on City Council, and they'd like to hear proposals. So we're working. We've got a team of people working on that. Michigan State University, CCED is involved. They've brought a lot of ordinance language to expertise to the group. There's a retail, we've already got a retail partner. I don't know if people know Joe Vitale, but he bought the women's center on, what is the name of that road? It's one of the main access roads. It's right as you come south on Capitol, that area in the Cooley Gardens area. He's got that house, and he'd like to turn it into a retail center for these reclaimed materials. So those are the projects that have kept us most busy. We're MidMeac is also involved with Recycle Rama. We do volunteer coordination for that. We've had a great relationship with Lori, and we know Kate and Kathy DeChambeau, I think, comes to that sometimes as well. Or is that the R2C2? Yeah, that's R2C2. Anyway, so we've been doing that. Dam removal. There's a dam removal work group that's looking at the North Lansing Dam. City of Lansing, Rhonda Oberlin would like to see that dam removed, so that it would take a number of properties out of the flood zone for the purposes of FEMA mapping. And some people, as flood insurance rates continue to rise, some people are going to be priced right out of those homes. So the goal would be to hopefully naturalize that. But of course, for every yin, there's a yang, and there are people who like the river just the way it is because their business models depend on it. So the people who run the Michigan Princess are part of that group. The Community Foundation has been attending. They're interested in terms of, they're trying to, I guess they're trying to, it would be not wrong to say they're trying to redevelop some of those, some of that riverfront area there, over by, in the downtown area, by the accident fund building. And, you know, if that dam is removed, it will change the flow. That's the whole point. And does it undo some of what they've attempted to accomplish there? So there's, you know, there are a lot of moving parts to that project. But Wanda Bloomquist, I was happy to see you on here because I think it was Paul Pratt of the Drain Office said I should talk with you about your tree debris removal program. There, one of the impediments to businesses who are, you know, the running kayaking and canoe livery out of the downtown area is that they run across downed trees, and it's you know, then you have to portage your canoe around, or canoe or kayak around it, and that can be a less enjoyable experience if what you're trying to do is sell people an enjoyable experience. So I would love to talk with you about that later if that's at all possible. And you know, pollinator habitat, tree planting. We've put in, last summer we worked with Meridian Township quite a lot on it too, putting in a lot of pollinator plants. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what MidMeac's been up to lately.
Great. Cliff, I did not get your presentation. I saw, it's weird, I don't know why, but if you could resend that. I also want to ask Amelia or Molly if you wanted to present.
Can you hear me at all right now?
Can hear you now. Yes, I could hear you briefly. It's a little choppy still.
Okay. I sent the thing over. I sent a PDF. I can try again if it's working. You guys all seem fine on your end. I just really am not able.
Yeah, I think because of the technical difficulties, maybe we could put your presentation in that Google Share folder and then share that with everybody. But I'm really having trouble getting audio from you. Is anyone else having a challenge hearing? Okay. So sorry about that, Cliff. You're trying to make that computer work too hard today. Really appreciate what you've been doing collaboratively. Cliff has been really instrumental with this green infrastructure audit. John, did you want to say anything, or anybody else? Please raise your hand if you'd like to add anything at this point to just general announcements, or add anything to your presentation. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I just thought I would mention that you know, the Environmental Commission has been working on that issue of PHs in driveway sealants, and the stage it's at now, it has gone to the Planning Commission to develop an ordinance to ban the coal tar sealants in the township. It's taken us a while, but part of that is because the township wanted to kind of show some leadership, try it out on our own driveways. So I was, we were with the Environmental Commission, was happy to see that go forward, and I don't know how many communities in Southeast Michigan have done that now, over a dozen. And we just recently, the Township Board passed a climate emergency resolution, which was hopeful, just again to highlight the issue. But Lori, you did a great job. There's all our communities, I think, are kind of doing all sorts of interesting and varied things.
No matter where you are in the world, you're in a watershed. A watershed is an area of land that drains to a
Can you guys hear the video that I started to play? You could? Okay. Cliff shared that with me the other day. And as part of his presentation, I realized that I can go ahead and share that while he dials in on his phone. But are you with us on your phone, Cliff? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share that, and then I'll be right back.
Dublin, Lima, Lansing. No matter where you are in the world, you're in a watershed. A watershed is an area of land that drains to a common point. That common point may be a lake, the outlet of a river, or any point within a river system. Right here in Greater Lansing, we have the Grand River. At 252 miles, it's the longest river in Michigan. A drop of water that falls within the Grand River watershed will flow toward and into the river, eventually discharging into Lake Michigan. Unfortunately, so will any pollution. In urban areas, concrete, buildings, and other hard surfaces prevent runoff from absorbing into the ground. So we've built storm drains to collect runoff and prevent flooding. However, these drain directly into our rivers and streams. So any pollution on the ground at home can be swept up with stormwater runoff and will impact water quality here, downstream, and throughout the Great Lakes system. And when large areas drain to a common point, pollution is concentrated and its impact is amplified. Seemingly small sources of pollution, like the bacteria in pet waste, oils from leaking vehicles, and soap and grease from washing a car in the driveway, enter our storm drains and waterways, adding up to big problems. This type of pollution is the #1 water quality problem in the nation. Luckily, we, the Greater Lansing Regional Committee for Stormwater Management, are a group of communities working together to reduce pollution and educate and inspire watershed stewards. Visit our website at www.mywatersheds.org to learn how you can help protect our watershed.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Cliff.
can you hear me now?
Ken, yes.
Okay, I have no idea what's going on because you guys all seem fine on my end, but I guess if my PDF hasn't come through you, Leroy, I'll just kind of give a rundown. Are you able to share what I sent, or has it not come through? I think you're muted.
It is not coming through. I don't know why. I see the link in the message description, but I can't click the link within your message. So I don't know why.
I'll just go ahead. I apologize. I had a nice slideshow ready, but I'll just hit the big things. We're in the middle of our Tri-County's long-range planning, and there's an open meeting tomorrow. It's on Zoom, but it's from 5:30 to 7 p.m., and I'll share the link with Leroy to share widely with this group. But it's for reviewing the environmental justice and environmental mitigation and air quality plans within the 2040 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And then also the Groundwater Management Board, which is a committee of Tri-County, is being reinvigorated. There's a new website. It's mitcrpc.org/mygroundwater. And I'll share that as well. But there's new topicals and brochures surrounding groundwater issues and groundwater education. They're under development now, and they're building out a social media presence and campaign. But the big thing is that the Wellhead Protection Viewer, which some of you may be familiar with, it's a database and map that's online that shows the location of drinking water wells, sources of pollution, potential sources of pollution, brownfields. That is being updated to have a live access to the databases that feed into it. So it'll always be current, like the brownfield and like time of travel information for contaminant plumes will all be updated, in real time. But on August 20th at 11 a.m., there is going to be a public training session. So the goal for this tool is to be utilized for planners, decision makers, so you can inform your, your land use decisions with information about what's in the ground, and resiliency and risk assessments and all that stuff. But I'll share that link too for signing up. The other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned, it's not really new, but I don't think everyone is aware of it. The water trail, the Middle Grand River Water Trail, we applied for designation under DNR, so now the Middle Grand is an official state water trail, but we have this cool thing called Terrain 360. So we sent a guy down the river on a boat similar to, or equipped with gear similar to what the Google Street View cameras have. And so we have like all 87 miles of the Middle Grand mapped from the water, 360 degrees view. There's information on access sites, hazards, portages, all that kind of stuff. And it's really cool. We also have some of that information or some of that footage from our land trails, including in Meridian Township, the Lansing River Trail, and the Clinton-Shiawassee Trail. So that was just with some leftover budget, but we are considering making that like every 5 years, like something that we update and, make it a little more widely, broaden the net of what imagery that we're capturing. I had some slides about the green infrastructure audit, but I think Teresa and Leroy covered that pretty well. But the Greater Lansing Regional Committee for Stormwater Management, they're the group that I coordinate. We have a brand new website. It's been updated. It's been around for a long time, but has a new face. It's refreshed. mywatersheds.org, it looks pretty good. And if you go to mywatersheds.org/members, there's a bunch of shareables and posters, articles, template press releases, flyers and stuff. And anyone can use that stuff. The more that's shared, the better for our group. And if you check out the My Watersheds YouTube channel or just our website, you can find the link to it. We have about 20 videos, including the one that Leroy streamed. We have some 15-second videos, 30-second videos, minute-long videos, and we're using them strategically on YouTube as pre-roll advertisements to make sure that the public is viewing them. But they've been really successful so far. We've had a ton of views, but I think that's something that everyone in the region should be aware of, that they can share. And it's the more that the members of the JLRC are coordinating that public outreach messaging, the more consistent that messaging is to the residents, and the more impactful it is. So yeah, I apologize that my PowerPoint isn't available. Hopefully you can hear me through this, but yeah, that's what we're up to right now. But I'll share all those links because there's a lot of good info with a lot of training events coming up that I think all of you would be interested in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cliff. Gosh, we covered a lot of ground and a lot of water this journey here. Right now we're going to, unless somebody else wants to present, I would like to just open it up for dialogue. I know Teresa mentioned interest in the river cleanup initiative, collaboration on that. Who would like to start? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I can address Teresa's. I do want to talk to you, Teresa, as well, but we have a meeting tomorrow to look at some of the log jam removal. We have log jams in our section of the Red Cedar River that have been there for at least 20 years. And we have some pretty large jams. And so use of the Red Cedar River within Williamstown Township is not an enjoyable experience. So we did form a committee, and we did actually formed Friends of the Red Cedar River. And so they, due to COVID, we haven't been meeting and haven't began any outreach, but we certainly want to start outreach and try to form a water trail that takes us all through the communities and really pull everybody together on that. So that's one thing that's come out of this river cleanup. The others, we've got volunteer groups that are working on taking out some of the small jams, and then we're meeting with the contractor tomorrow on some of the large ones. Part of the problem with the large jams is there's no place to put the logs because they're adjacent to businesses, and so they need to be removed, and we're trying to figure all that out. So it's kind of a long process, but we're really excited that when we're done, we'll be able to have expand the trail, because Meridian has done such a good job with their section of the river that if we can expand that east, we'll be doing good. The city of Williamston has actually got a park grant as well as to put a launch site in. So we'll have that as well to connect into, and we'll just hopefully keep moving it eastward.
Great. Any response? I know Kathy and Lori mentioned regional collaboration on sustainability or climate, a regional sustainability initiative. That sounds exciting as well. What else? Who else has comments or discussion topics?
This is Cliff. I was just going to say that I would love to see that too. And, as our agency develops the programming and the work plan for the year, a lot of those decisions come from our board. And, like right now I have a fairly narrow mandate. Most of my funding comes from the MS4 communities, and so it's stormwater focused. But I guess what I'm getting at is that, I encourage the communities to, if there's a role for Tri-County to play, which I would, obviously think there would be in a regional sustainability planning effort, make your representatives to our board aware of that, so then that gets on their radar. So, when work plans and funding and the allocation of our resources, when those decisions are made, that can be top of mind, because I personally think that's a great idea, but it all comes down to the funding and what the board decides. But if there's appetite at all the communities, I'd recommend making that known to your representatives to our agency. And of course, talk to me and see how I can help, and I do my part from that, from where I am too. But I'm here to listen to things.
Consider yourself notified. Oh, John?
Yeah, I'm just wondering for the group whether this sort of kind of Zoom meeting every quarter or maybe even more frequently is a good idea, and whether people think it should be kind of just open-ended, any sort of environmental issue, or would it be more helpful if the specific topic was kind of the focus of a get-together in the future? This just kind of open-ended question. This has been very helpful to me, of course, but everybody's busy, so I just wanted to kind of check in with everybody to see about this approach and how best to structure it.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I like the quarterly idea, John. I think that's probably as frequent as people could, be involved, especially because we have some other regional meetings that happen with fair frequency. And I kind of like the idea of maybe, every other quarter you could have it set on a topic, and then have other quarters where it's more wide open, and that way you get a little bit of both. Just my 2 cents.
Anyone else? Thoughts on that?
I like that too. Quarterly would be great. I think this is a good exercise. Yeah, I'm totally interested in participating.
Would it make sense to have the focus on this regional sustainability concept, collaboration, or is there another topic that bubbles to the top or dribbles down from the runoff?
I think that covers everything. All the other things we're working on. Like climate sustainability, resiliency, all that's going to be a part of that. So I think that that topic would cover us for sure.
Sounds good. Anyone else want to weigh in on that? I like the idea of a quarterly, and if somebody else wants to host it, I'm totally fine with that as well. I will thank John for reminding us that regional networking is something that's part of our plan, and probably we recycled that from the city of East Lansing. So I don't know if Kathy, you want to co-host next time, or if you'd like to host the next one in 2 or 3 months. I think it's totally up to you. I'm also happy to do it, or if somebody else wants, or maybe if Cliff, as a regional partner, wants to host that.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Assuming you're back in your office with your light speed connection. Just kidding.
Yeah, definitely.
Any thoughts on that, Kathy?
I think that's great. If Cliff wants to host, we could do one. We can all rotate, or those of us that have the ability to do that. We only have the ability to run one Zoom meeting at a time in the city right now, officially. So I would just have to be careful with the scheduling because our calendar seems to be kind of full. I've actually had to shorten a meeting because we had an emergency meeting that had to take place. So if we could kind of rotate that, I think it might work better, and I'd have to just check the calendar.
Kate, did you want to say something?
Just that Clinton County is in a similar position. We can only do one Zoom meeting at a time, so to watch the calendar.
Okay, well, if you two want to check into it, should we throw out a tentative date and time for the next one while everyone's on? I'm going to grab my calendar. Let's see here. Would the second Tuesday in November work for people? November 10th at 1 o'clock. I mean, it's just tentatively, assuming that Kathy or Cliff can make that happen.
That works for me.
Okay.
Works for me.
Great. Well, thank you, Stephen, for getting us online here. Thank you all for showing up today. Is there any other parting comments from anyone? Oh.
Oh, just thank you for putting this together.
Oh. Thanks, Wanda. It's always nice to hear what's going on in the township there. Hopefully we'll talk before November. Any other parting comments?
I have a couple things. One, I'm also involved with MGROW, the Middle Grand River Organization of Watersheds, and we were supposed to have we're hosting the Wild and Scenic Film Festival. It's supposed to be September 12th at Hannah Community Center in East Lansing, but obviously that's getting impacted by COVID. But we are voting tomorrow on a date for a virtual replacement. So I think a lot of people in this group would be excited about it. But it's Wild and Scenic Film Festival, it's like new environmentally focused videos, ranging from 2-minute shorts into features, like around 45 minutes. But it'll be about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we're going to invite our partners to come and kind of treat it like an annual meeting, and allow 30-second to 90-second updates about what Mid-Meac's up to, or what the conservation district is up to, and all that kind of stuff. Similar to our annual meetings in the past, just with this added draw of. And one other thing is that I've been working with the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds on bringing their Adopt a River or Adopt a Drink program to this area. So it's like this interface they have online, and you pick from this program your catch basin in front of your business or your home, and you can adopt it, put your name on it, name it, and then that's your commitment to sweeping up and taking care of it, removing ice jams and stuff. But if we do loop in with them, it would be the longest or the largest drain adoption program in the country. So we're excited about it. And they're a couple weeks away from having the ability for us to input our data. It's just going to be Latin long and who owns it. And so the GLRC, we're going to have participating communities sign up for that. I know Lansing and Eaton County were really interested in it. Some other communities had some concerns about liability, asking someone to go on the road to clean something. But I think that would be really cool. And it's a good way to raise awareness on, watersheds and runoff, and people can get involved. Yeah, we're excited.
Great. Keep us posted, and if folks have something that they would like to share, I will send out the link for the share folder. Tom, did you want to say anything?
No, nothing really to add. I've had some connection problems today, so I'm actually up north on vacation this week, but I enjoyed being a part of the meeting today and learned a lot of new things. And as some of you know, I am involved in the Michigan Green Communities Network, and Wanda's involved with that as well. We intend to hold a meeting later this week, so hopefully in the near future there will be some updates from that perspective. But again, thanks for the opportunity to participate today.
Thank you so much for tuning in, Tom. And if you haven't seen the Michigan Green Communities Network, it's a great, worth checking out. It's risen the bar. There's a little competition between all the communities to go green, so that's kind of neat. Tom has been involved with green initiatives with the is it the Michigan Towns Association and the Michigan Municipal League, who are co-partners in that Green Communities Network. Anything else people want to say? Otherwise, have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.